Alright, so let's talk about ratings. Well, when it comes to your ratings, people think that 4 stars is okay. It's really not. 4 stars consistently will get you canceled. But thankfully, people are lazy. They'll give you 5 stars on a regular basis unless something goes wrong. So that's a plus. 1-star ratings, they take a while to make up for. One thing I will give to a competitor is they say 19 rides. They're right about 19 rides to make up for one-star ride. And it's very unfortunate. This rating system is not fair, but at the same time, people are lazy and they'll give you 5 stars consistently and just click, boom. So, what about you rating the driver or rating the riders? Let's explore that. So, almost every ride I give 5 stars because every ride goes off without a hitch. They get in, they might be a little bit lazy, they might be a little bit slow, okay, whatever. But when it comes to the peculiar rides, I'll give you a couple examples. About 2 weeks ago, I was riding 2 kids. The mother was sending these kids to school. And okay, I get it, you're busy, so on. I was horribly uncomfortable with that, with the whole concept of driving kids. But I'm also not going to, just say no after the kids get in and say, oh, I'm not doing this. It's like, okay, turn on your voice recorder and so on and so forth so that, you've got your little proof. It doesn't use that much processing power of your phone. And then I drove them to school. And I was very polite, like, hey, do you like the music? Okay, cool. Alright, you kids have a good day. And literally, that's all I said to them. But I don't like the liability of driving children because you can never trust people these days. You really can't. Expect the worst. Hope for the best, but expect the worst. So what I did was I left a 3-star rating, and I went into a nice paragraph about, okay, the kids were there, they were very well-mannered, which they were, but I don't like the idea of just driving kids where the mom stays at home and so on and so forth. Like, there needs to be an adult. And LYFT actually responded to that and said, okay, we're not going to pair you with this person anymore. I like that. When it comes to other rides and whatnot, I've had a few other LYFT rides. For example, if somebody is rude, if they're just rude, I'll give them 2 stars. Like, maybe they're having a bad day. That's okay. And usually I try to brighten the mood. But I give them 2 stars because if I give them 2 stars, then if they're in a bad mood and they give me like 1 or 2 stars, it's taken into consideration. I mean, it's not going to help your rating, but it's taken into consideration. And with LYFT, at least you can leave comments about it. And they do read those. They really do. I'll give them that. But if the person is just belligerent, if the person is, I'll give you a great ride. I was riding 4 people with Uber, and one of the people sat up front, and he grabs my water, the water I have in my thing, and he starts drinking it. And my waters are not cheap. I use Essentia 9.5, BPA free, 9.5 pH or higher. So he starts drinking that, and then he passes my water to his friends. I mean, just flat out drunk. And he was a fun drunk, I'll give him that. It's just, he was fun to his friends, not to me. And of course, I left that rating, and I wrote Uber about it and said, hey, this is what happened during this ride. Don't give me this person again. And he wasn't even the person that got the ride. Because what you'll find out is the worst people during rides, like the complete a-holes, usually aren't the person asking for the ride because that person's held accountable. It's their friend that they bring along. It's a sad dynamic. In fact, one ride I was actually held, I was held hostage. I'll say that. By a 275-pound drunk man that was horribly high and held a bottle less than 6 inches from my face. Okay? That wasn't the passenger, that was the passenger's brother. So you'll find very consistently that the person acting like an a-hole is not the passenger themselves, it's their friend, their relative, something like that. But they still deserve a 1-star rating. Why? Because you just saved a future driver another issue. They aren't going to bring that friend on a ride again, on a rideshare ride. Or if they do, they're going to tell that friend, you better act right. So don't be afraid to give out negative ratings, because I assure you, passengers are not afraid to give them to you. Whether you have control of a situation or not, whether there's traffic, whether there's this, that, and the other, do not be afraid to give out negative ratings. Because in the end-all be-all, if it ever comes to evaluation, those are going to be your defense. If you give a negative rating and they give a negative rating, and thank God for LYFT comments, and you leave a LYFT comment about it and describe the ride, then that makes all the difference. It really can. It can save you from deactivation if you get a string of bad rides. Not that it's going to happen. It's never happened to me. I haven't heard of it happening, but that's not to say it won't happen. And one thing to note about rides is to avoid negative ratings. I mean, I'm going to give a full video on this. Tips on how to always keep a high rating. But the best way to avoid negative ratings if something's going bad, make fun of it and call it out. For example, if I'm in heavy traffic with somebody, I'll let them know, hey, traffic is horrible today. Seriously, is it always like this? And that's pointing it back to them, to where now they're involved in the situations. They're not what they perceive to be victims of the situation. Meaning, oh my God, I'm stuck in this car and this is a horrible ride. No, if you call it out, then you can avoid that negative rating. Because now they are there with you. They're not there despite you. And another good way to avoid a negative rating is, let's see, I'm going to think of a bad ride. There was one lady that got into the car. She had just broken up with her girlfriend. I remember this. I picked her up at an art gallery over in Seattle. It's one of these low-key art galleries that's in South Seattle. And they have all sorts of art shows from amateur artists. So I pick her up from there, and her friend is like, text me when you get home, text me. And then she gets in the car, and she's got tears. I mean, straight up, she's had a bad day. She just got broken up with. And I asked her, okay, is something wrong? And she told me the situation. She told me the story. And I sympathized with her. Like, I actually played bartender. And that's not something that is a bad thing. I mean, just having an ear to listen to can sometimes help a passenger's mood, and it can make their day brighter. Don't be afraid to do that. It's okay to be personable. You don't have to be an automaton. You don't have to be a robot. If somebody's having a bad day, you can ask them about it. And it's not going to hurt you to listen. I know a lot of you don't want to do that, and quite a few of you will have bad days. But it's okay to be a human being and to listen to somebody and let them vent. And then at the end of it, I was telling her, you know what, tomorrow's a new day. View it as that. And when she got out of the car, I let her know, you know, take care. If you don't mind, I'm going to sit here, because she was a little tipsy. I'm going to sit here while you get inside your house. I mean, those little extras that you throw in there, like, I just want to make sure you get home safe, they can make a difference. So anyway, this is my rant on ratings and a few other tips to avoid negative ratings. Y'all take care.